So there's an app called Duolingo which helps you learn languages by taking you through a couple of different kinds of exercises. It's got a bit of a reputation for being evil, but for the most part Duolingo is a really useful tool to get started in language learning. Now I like to think of myself as a fluent English speaker, despite the number of tries it takes me to make a 5-minute long video. But thanks to 7 years of learning it in school, I also have an A-level in Spanish, so I do know a thing or two about languages and what it's like to learn them. Currently, I'm learning both Italian and Mandarin Chinese on Duolingo, so I have experience using the app with two totally different language families. As of today, I've been learning Italian for 65 days and Mandarin for around 30. I know this isn't a crazy amount of time like I've seen for some other people, but I think it's long enough that I've been able to gather some pretty informed opinions. Oh yeah, and I also did over an hour's worth of Danish, which definitely wasn't what this video was meant to be about until I lost all of the footage of me actually doing it. But let's just call that an extra layer of preparation for this video. So without further ado, let's get into the good and the bad of Duolingo, starting with the good. Number 1, gamification. Duolingo uses loads of different ways to keep the user engaged and more importantly coming back to the app for lessons. One of Duolingo's main features is streaks. Users want to come back to the app to maintain and extend their streak, and Duo prompts them to do that. Streaks are only extended when a user successfully completes a lesson, and having a number go up slowly is a good reminder to the user that they're making progress. Also, the introduction of leagues, and in general the whole concept of XP, is taken straight out of video games. Leagues appeal to people's competitive sides, and recently I've seen Duo pushing the idea of friend quests, which encourage the learner to complete lessons alongside their friends. Leagues are often criticised for their fairness and the weighting of XP in terms of lessons versus lightning rounds. But whatever your opinion, you have to admit that they definitely do increase the gamification of the app and language learning, which is a positive thing if it keeps people coming back. Now for my second pro, the sheer amount of content. Duolingo offers over 38 different languages for English speakers. Of course, each course varies massively in terms of how long their tree is, however it is very impressive. Also, the app includes some languages that are endangered, and although their courses are only in the beta stage, it's great that Duolingo offers the Navajo language and Haitian Creole, amongst other less spoken or declining languages. My third positive of Duolingo has to be the tips page. The user is able to click on the bubble they're about to start and press a tips button, which will bring up a separate page telling them pieces of grammar and other linguistic elements that they may find useful during the lesson. In the past, I've found this page to be very helpful, and I think it's great that Duo offers a place where people can go to understand more about the inner workings of the languages on top of their standard exercises. Okay, we've been through the good, and now it's time for the bad. And our first con of the video is Chinese writing. Chinese is a logographic language, which means instead of using an alphabet of letters and combining them together to make words, each Chinese character is a word in itself. From my experience, Duo does a fairly okay job of communicating this, and with the use of pinyin, the Mandarin course is serviceable. However, my main gripe with Duo's Chinese course is the lack of writing. As I speak, Duolingo has no way for the users to actually write the characters they learn, only to identify them. This has led me to use a ring of flashcards and make my own notes alongside the Duo course so I can practice my writing, which is definitely the most fun part of the language. My second issue with Duolingo doesn't actually have much to do with the languages at all, more just the app and its differences between desktop and mobile. This one may sound silly, but it is genuinely annoying if you use the site a lot. Firstly, the in-game currency is different. For mobile users it's gems, and for the desktop website it's lingots. It would be nice to have some basic consistency features like that. Furthermore, there are other inconsistencies, like differences in XP gain for restoring a shattered legendary bubble. On desktop it's 10, but on mobile it's 20. There are other differences between the two platforms that I haven't mentioned. To be honest, none of them are total deal breakers, but together they do become a bit frustrating. Speaking of frustrating, my third choice is Duolingo's speech recognition. Don't get me wrong, I love that the app includes ways to practice your speech, as it's fundamental to all languages. However, Duolingo's speech recognition software is dreadful. It recognises incorrect speech and often doesn't recognise correct phrases. Duolingo would take a massive step forward if it were to fix this part of the app. Thankfully, there is a Can't Speak Now button, which will temporarily disable these types of exercises for an hour. So there you have it, my review of Duolingo. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit different from the normal Vexadecimal content, but if you did enjoy, please feel free to check out the National Flag series, and the next episode will hopefully be coming soon. It's the Bahamas.